but the rules say that you can't have more than 35 sophisticated investors in any one deal. You can have unlimited accredited investors. The sophisticated investor needs a lot more disclosures to get into your deal. And then there's a third type of investor, which we call the man on the street. Man on the street doesn't have any knowledge of real estate, has no knowledge of business, but yet they want to get into your deal. Can you think of somebody who might qualify as man on the street that is part of your life right now? Relative, family member, that they know what you're doing, they don't understand it, but they want to get involved. I'll tell you this, funny things happen when money gets involved, and if for some reason that deal goes bad, then there may be an issue where, they come after you. And if they're man on the street, they're going to win. The courts are going to look at it and say, hey, this person shouldn't have been in this deal because they didn't really understand what they were getting into. All right, you guys want to hear another success story? Yes, yes or yes? Yes. All right, here you go. And we're actually going to do a live version of how they did that. Okay, so this is Dave Wendell. We're at the Private Money Bootcamp, and this is another edition of How They Do That. And I'm with Karen and Stan Baggett, and tell everybody who you are and where you're from.
I'm Karen Baggett, and we're from Orange County, just about an hour flight from here.
Ditto.
Stan Baggett.
All right, so let's talk about right now, how many units do you own right now?
Our exact number was 940 units.
So you're at 940 units. So when you were doing that first deal to get started doing this, okay, take us through that process, because there's a lot of people out there that they want to get investing in real estate, they're nervous, they're afraid, and they're not quite sure how to do it, and they're not sure if they can do it, but when they hear people like you doing it, and getting over the obstacles that you overcame, they know they can do it too. So talk about that first deal. How many units was it?
Totally relate to your nervousness. It scared the bejeebies out of me. We went to one of your weekend ones, and we're so impressed with how you've been talking about it, because we're looking at doing the single family buying and flipping, but we wanted to do it bigger and better. We didn't want to work that hard. We wanted to get a little bit bigger with that. So after going to his weekend one, it's like, oh, this is just exactly what we're looking for. So we went to the apartment boot camp, which is about 6 years ago. So it's been a little while since we've been with a group. And we went through a few deals. We got straight into the coaching program, straight into everything. We thought, we're going to go big, we're going to go home. We're going to put all the money into it, put all the time and effort into it. Because of this, we are going to do a deal. I'm not going to waste my time and money with all this if I'm not going to do a deal. So we started finding a deal, and he's really good at estimating and analyzing the deals, and he can just work with the numbers tremendously. So that's a really nice asset. And we did find a deal. We did find our first deal. I wanted to go around 75 units, somewhere around there. That's where I thought my comfort zone was, but not his. He found a deal of 165 units, and it scared the bejeebies out of me.
Did you have them both under contract at the same time?
No, we didn't have the smaller one. I kept finding the smaller ones and giving them to him, and he kept giving me the bigger ones and giving them to me. And we were trying to match on that one. So he was so excited about this 165 unit one in Texas. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't get past all those zeros. There was just a lot of them. So we were in the coaching program. Thank goodness in the coaching. It's like, if we're going to do this, I trust you immensely. But,
and love him dearly.
Yeah, okay. But I want another set of eyes to look at all of our numbers. On this first deal, I'm comfortable with what he's doing, but he's done real estate, he's got a strong construction background, but I wanted another set of eyes that was familiar with looking at the analysis, the Dave's analysis type things, to make sure we weren't missing everything, because it looked too good to be true. And it's like, I just can't believe you can make this kind of money.
So what happened?
We put the LOI in, and damn it, they didn't accept it.
Now you're really nervous.
Now we got to do something. So it's like, no problem. We've been talking to friends and families. We realized we had a $2 million raise we had to do. Gulp. But we got friends and family. We've been talking about it, no problem. So we get everybody ready, and it comes down to it, because this was a HUD loan. So months and months and months go by, and we're still dealing with it. And slowly but surely, all of our investors have found other things to do with their money. They've changed their minds. Things have happened, and we're down to the wire. And we are still missing some significant amount of money. And I was very confident we would have the money right away. Wouldn't be a problem, because everybody was ready to go. And at that point, I swore I will never be in that position again of being that close on money. So I did, after that deal, talk about closing it.
So you closed on it?
We ended up closing on it, yes.
Okay, good.
Fantastic deal that we've gotten. That was many, many years ago.
Do you still own it? Did you flip it?
Still own it.
Oh, you
Still
do?
own it. We've had this one for, what, 4 years? 4 years?
So you raised all the funds. Did you get an acquisition fee for that particular deal?
Yes, we
How
did.
much?
$145,000.
Oh, nice. $145,000 acquisition fee. Good? Do you want to talk about your cash flow? How was that cash flow?
Initially, the first year we got it, our cash flow was what, $15,000 a month?
Net or?
Net.
In your pocket, $15,000
In the
a
pocket.
month?
Us
And you didn't take any money out of the?
We have to share with the investors.
So
Yeah.
what was the split?
75-25.
So 75-25, investors get 75% of the 15,000, they get 25 of the 15,000. That's still a good deal? Yeah, it's a pretty, we said yeah. Okay. So what were the difficulties in that deal? Because I know that because as I was saying last night when we were at the Mingler, that somebody came to me and said, oh, do you know Karen Baggett? Because we were talking about how many units you own and the fact that I was going to see you here at this event. And they said, you know Karen Baggett at the 4-month mark, she was a wreck. Things weren't going right, she wasn't sure if she was ever going to do real estate, and she almost backed out and left the program. But then what happened? How did you overcome that big obstacle?
Well, that was me and my 75 units and him and his 300 units. We just couldn't match on this one, and I just thought we were going to be battling it the whole time. And he was just so insistent that we get to that point, and after about that 4-month, 5-month mark, working with a coach, it's like, yeah, you can go big. You guys can do it. You guys are ready. We've got the players in play. We built our team, as Stan was talking about, with everybody. That Lindahl, we have the SEC attorney, we got the real estate attorney, the brokers, everybody involved, and we felt we had a really confident team that were all looking at the numbers, and they gave us the confidence to go for it.
You nailed it. Stan, what was the biggest obstacle or difficulties in getting that deal done for you?
Well, if you don't mind, I'd like to back up just a little bit and give you a little bit of quick, brief history of where we got to from way back when. I've been in real estate for a while. My first real estate deal was in 1973.
Whoa.
I bought a house just down the street from me. And this is in Alabama, Montgomery, Alabama. In 1973, this house was a pretty nice house for $15,000. God knows you couldn't come close to doing that nowadays.
Unless you're in Rochester, New York. Which is true, you buy them for 15 grand.
And this house needed some work. So I went in there, sweat equity, I did the painting, I put in new carpet, I did some landscaping outside, and somebody drove by and wanted to buy the house. And in less than 2 weeks, I flipped this house making $7,000. And 1973. I said, this is great. So I did it a couple more times and made some good money. And then I decided, I need to go back to doing what I was trained to do, and that was in construction, project management. So I did that for a number of years until I moved out here into California and started my own construction company, building it up, and we got thinking, there's got to be more to life than this. I want to get back into real estate. She wants to do single family, and I said no. We're going to go into apartments where it makes sense. I've been around construction, I know how to build, and that's what I want to do. We thought about building, and that was in 2008. And thank God we didn't get into it, because that's when the bottom fell out. And we realized that, hey, we can buy cheaper than we can build. So why do we want to build? So we started looking at it, started looking at deals, and was totally lost. I didn't know what to do, because I haven't bought multifamily before. I didn't know where to go, what to do, or who to talk to. So I started Googling how to buy apartments. And this wonderful man's name kept coming up everywhere I looked. So I said, great. Went to his website, ordered the book, and you're going to love this, because I've never told you this. You sent me the program, and I thought it was the biggest joke, because it talked about stuff that I already knew. At least I thought I knew. And I said, I'm not a home study person. I need to get in the classroom. And so he had this 100% guarantee. And my wife, bless her heart, she said, you'll never get your money back. So I sent it back, and he sent my money back, 100% of it. I was shocked. And then he had a 2-day event coming up in LA, and I told my wife, we need to go meet this guy. So we did. he was 100% what he talked about. So we signed up for his next boot camp and flew all the way across country to Boston and fell in love with the program. And we immediately, because of her, she wouldn't let me go any further unless we signed up for the coaching. And it was a good thing. So we got in the coaching program. They helped us analyze. I had my own spreadsheet of how to do this as far as analyzing a deal. And it was similar to what Dave gives you, but his is much better. Much, much better. And we presented that to our coach, and she says, yeah, this will work. Let's go after your first deal, Stan. And so we drug it out a little bit because we're a little scared. I want the big ones, she wants the small ones. I know I can make more money at the big ones than the small ones. I've been to the small ones. So we actually went in there, and the problem we had back then, now what Dave asked me, the first deal was Houston, Texas. And I remember in the first conference we went to him, he said, stay away from Houston. I couldn't do it. I went to Houston. Got a great deal. It was a pocket listing, believe it or not. And you've talked about pocket listings before. I called this broker, I've talked to him a number of times, and I happened to be in the area, so I thought I'd call him up and invite him to breakfast. I did. So he went to breakfast with me. He says, you know, I got people calling me all the time, wanting to know, you got something that you haven't given out to everybody. And he says, I've got something. He says, because you're here, that proves to me you're interested. So let's go take a look at it. And I did. I fell in love with the property. We did an LOI, and like Karen said, they accepted our first LOI, and I was like, oh my God, what did I do wrong? Maybe I offered too much money. So we got into the process. We were using Eric Stewart, a great guy. And again, that's one of the things that coaching will bring to you. They will help you form your own team of brokers, everyone involved that you need. SEC attorney. I had no idea what an SEC attorney was. Why do I need somebody like that? But if you're going to syndicate, which I didn't realize that we were going to have to do all the years down the road from there, and it works out great. The problem we had on the Houston property was we were going for a Fannie and Freddie type loan. And because this was still on the tail end of the real estate crash, Fannie and Freddie put Houston on the watch list, which means they don't want to invest there unless it's around a 60% loan to value. Well, it's very difficult to make that work. So then we got involved in HUD, which was great. I thought they're going to give me 85%, 87% loan to value, and I don't have to come up with a lot of money. Yeah, but there's a lot of other things involved in that, along with the time. But we were very diligent working with a lot of funding at the time. They asked for something, we had it to them before the end of the day. And so we wound up closing this deal like in 4.5 months, which is very, very fast.
All right, so you closed the first deal. How soon after that did you have your second deal?
Within about a year, we found the next deal. Now that I was more comfortable in that 150 unit range, we found it was 120 units. And
120 and acquisition fee?
on that one was about 110, 120,000.
Okay, and what was the purchase price?
It's been a couple of years ago.
$6 million.
600,000?
6 million.
Oh,
$6 million.
All right, so that raise must have been what, 1.5, 1.6?
That was about that.
All right, and then from there, the next one?
230 units.
When did it really start to roll, like boom, 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 boom? Did it, or how many deals you averaging a year?
It's you know, and I've told people this before, and I've talked to you in the room, I get, and I'm sure you do too, and some of you that's active in the market, you'll get 10, 15 deals a day coming onto your computer.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult. You can look at the year they're built, the number of units, and tell whether you really want to print off and do the CA and get the financials to take a look at it. But you're spending a lot of time doing that.
Analyzing deals. So one of the most important things about analyzing deals is kicking out the bad deals as fast as possible. That's why the multi-unit property finder helps you do that. Just kick them out. But before we end this, one of the things I want you to talk about is, because you guys were the first persons that I heard doing this, Talk about how you raise private money at the luxury car dealerships. This is a very innovative concept. You probably want to take some notes. But it's really, really good idea. When I first heard about it, when I mentioned it at an L Society meeting, the wine tasting. Oh, the wine? Yes, talk about that.
Well, after I mentioned before, as our first deal, is I thought we had all the money we needed, it would be a problem. And once we got tight, I swore I would never be in that position again. So marketing was my #1 goal. He was finding the deals, marketing was my #1 goal to go out there and do this, even before we found any deals. So along with, the websites and webinars and a lot of other things, we decided to do some wine tasting. And what we've done is we set up a couple of them. We had no deals, nothing going on right now. I just wanted to start building up my database and start building up my relationship with people. We started out with 2 of them. We did one at our country club, where in the area we live, and the other one we did in a different location in our county, which was a wine, it's like a wine tasting place. And the room held about 50 to 60 people. So we did one at each event, and we sent it out to all our friends and family. I had it put in the local paper. I put it on Facebook, on LinkedIn. I went to all the real estate meetings, passed out flyers for about a month ahead of time, and marketed it really well. We had about 60 to 75 people show up at each event. We did a generic marketing. Here's how multifamily is different than single family. Here's the type of properties we look at. What kind of questions do you have? And then we also brought in like a secondary speaker. And one of the tips I can give you is you can get a secondary speaker, and they market it, you market it, and those that attend, you share each other the contacts that came together for this event.
What did the other speaker talk about?
The other speaker on this one, we've had several of them, is she does self-directed IRAs.
Oh, perfect. Because you get a lot of money from we haven't talked about self-directed IRAs yet, but you get a lot of money from self-directed IRAs. And they're happy to come down and talk at your event.
She'd love to talk, and her database is about 10,000 people. And my database is about 1,000, so we marketed it and got a lot of email addresses from people that wanted to come, and people did show up, so those people, we shared the email addresses with each other. So that built up my database again right there. So I've done several of those, the wine events, and we've done quite a few webinars also.
How much commitments do you typically get from an event like that?
You know what, those type commitments, it's amazing. About $1 million at each of those events.
Would you do a wine tasting if you knew you could get $1 million?
Oh, yeah.
I was referring to luxury cars. There's also another student that does, she goes to a luxury car dealership, okay, and asks them if they can do a wine tasting there. And what they do the same thing. They do the marketing, they get people there, okay, it's accredited investors, they market to accredited investors, and they talk about, the latest car that's being introduced at this particular dealership. It's always high-end luxury. So the car dealer loves to do it because they know they've got 20, 30, 40 accredited investors coming in to do a wine tasting or a cheese or whatever, and so they can potentially sell them the cars, and they'll come to hear you because of the car dealership and the fact that the location of the event. So that's a really good thing to do as well.
One additional thing, folks, if you think you cannot do this, you're wrong. I'm a contractor, I build things. Where as a team work together, where she does the raising of the funds, her background, she's a nurse. Come on.
That's not a bad thing.
If a nurse can do it, anybody can, right?
Alright, so this is another edition of How They Did That. Alright, that was awesome. Was that awesome? Yeah. That was awesome. Did you have any questions? Hey, you got a question, Nissan?
Yeah, what kind of marketing did you do? What did you say on your marketing flyers that you sent out to attract the people to come?
The question was, what did they do on the markearting flyers that were sent out?
Great question on there. We had a couple things put in the newspaper. It was like an ad, and I'm trying to remember what some of them were we put in there. Learn about multifamily marketing, learn how to use your IRA, make it self-directed, learn how to use, learn where the emerging markets are in the United States, learn the difference between single family versus multifamily investments. Those types of topics.
Come on up. Is there a second mic down there?
No, you got both. Well, I'll put it here.
Here, just pass that one around. There's a question over there.
Where?
Yeah, my name's Jeff. What's the cost of an event like that?
Yeah, I figured someone asked about that. About $2,000. And we usually have the wines. Everybody gets a couple glasses of wines. We have a nice food spread, and they can kind of mingle while we're talking.
Was there one over here? Right here.
I'm coming.
Yeah, so I think this is going to make a great video. So would you put like a video of this on your website as far as your credibility kit?
She certainly could.
I just might do that. I've got a couple of other videos and webinars that I've done. This may be good.
Yeah, you could put that like a news flash. Yeah, interview. All right, question over here.
Great story, guys. What about your marketing piece? Would that be considered, Dave, as some sort of like a solicitation? What you're talking about, Karen, like putting in newspaper or?
It's not a general solicitation because she's not offering any property. She's offering education.
Okay, I'm just trying to get over that hurdle. So
She's
that's
comparing investments against investments.
excellent.
And I also make sure I have no investments going on when I do these. So it can't be tied in anything. Where you offered something a week later, maybe it was tied in, maybe it was, I have no deals going on at all.
One of the first things that we discuss at any of these events is we tell everybody, we have no deals to give to you. We're not trying to sell you anything. We're not trying to sell you a boot camp. We're trying to educate you on the difference between single family and multifamily and what you can do if you wind up investing in with us or anyone else.
Awesome. Gene?
Let me ask you a question. Have you two been to the private money boot camp before?
Yes, I have.
Did you listen?
Uh-oh.
Did you listen?
Are you saying that?
Say yes. Say yes. It sure,
Yes, I have.
It sure sounds like you listened. I'm hearing all the important words come out of there. So congratulations.
He's strict. Gene is really strict, and I knew he was going to say something.
Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Steve Bella. What is the typical questions that you get from your audience? And how
That's a really good question.
My favorite is how much money can I invest?
Before that question arises, what questions are they asking you?
Well, a lot of them want to know what kind of returns we can give, which obviously Gene will explain. We can't talk about returns. We really can't even talk about past returns. I can just assure them it's going to be more than their CD is making now. I'm pretty confident.
But you can't guarantee it.
Cannot guarantee anything. I can just say, what our experience in the past. They want to know our exit, what type of an exit we're going to have when you get in. A lot of them want to know what their yield is going to be. What's your IRR?
Internal rate of return,
Which is a common.
which is very close, similar. We're going to go over annual rate of return, very similar.
A lot of them want to know how much money we're going to get off of it. And one of the big questions we have is how much money we are investing. How much skin do we have in the game?
And how do you answer that question? Because you don't put any money in, right?
We do.
Oh, you do put money in your own deals? How
We
much do
do.
you put in?
About 10%.
Oh, that's pretty good. Most people don't put money into their deals. Like when I get that question, I say, Mr. Investor, I don't put any money into these deals. What I put in is I put in my time, I put in my equity, I put in my reputation. And if something were to happen to this deal, there goes my reputation. So what we'll do is some will come back and say, well, you're not going to put any money into the deal, and I don't want to be in your deal. That's okay. If something changes in the future where you might want to be into a deal, I'll still be around investing. Because you'll get people that won't do it unless you have skin in the game, and then you have ones that will do it if you don't have skin in the game. And there's a lot more that will than won't. So you will get that question. Be prepared to get that response. If you're not going to do it, I'm not going to do it. But always keep the door and the windows open. Don't burn any bridges, because when your reputation starts going around as somebody who actually closes deals and gets deals done, then they tend to come back to you later on and say, hey, you know what, I might be interested in doing a deal with you.
We found we put the acquisition fee back in, and that's our skin in the game.
Oh, that's pretty interesting. So the acquisition fee that the investors are paying gets put back into the deal, and that's their skin in the game. So in essence, you're really not putting any money into the deal. That's pretty good. Okay, great. One last question over there.
Hi there. You said you went pretty big on the first deal. Did you have to get a sponsor for that? And if so, did you get that sponsor prior to your marketing? And did you already have that in the in queue, or was your marketing or did the marketing result in you landing a sponsor?
Well, fortunate for us, we didn't have to have a sponsor. We are kind of in the zone where we can handle that one by ourselves, and we just brought all limited partners in under us.
All right, good. So, good information. All right, one more last quick one, and then we're going to break.
Yeah. When you get an acquisition fee like that toward the down payment, does that become a taxable event that has to be realized like
Yes.
within the next year?
Yes.
What's that, Gene?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Gene says yes. All right, so far so good? Yeah. 3/4 of the way through the day, you guys learn anything? Yeah. All right, let's give these guys another big round of applause. It is 3:28, we're gonna come back at 3:45. And we are gonna go into next,